It's time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
I love you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to move right here because we are so thankful that you folks that are watching are watching. You notice how quiet it gets in here?
I know it does. We miss our audience, don't we?
Yeah,
We used to have a rowdy audience.
I've got to vent.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, T. I got to vent something, okay? Every once in a while I have to vent something. I have an uncle that's in federal prison. Someday I'll go into the whole details. Recently, he said, why don't you send me a Bible? I said, good idea. How would I do that? So he sends back to me how to go through the chaplain and so forth and make sure that it's from a bookstore, et cetera, et cetera. All right, take a look at this, folks. Yeah. There's the address. Everything is on there just exactly as it's supposed to be. But notice the big refused. Okay, let me show you what's inside. Hold it, honey, right there. Yeah, thanks. This is inside of it. Take a look at that. It's a Bible that it actually has my uncle's name on it. And I'm going to call him. I'm going to try to count to 10. But what I told Sharron, I'm going to say to them, if I had sent a Koran, you probably would have sent your best guard to take it to the prisoner and hand it to him personally. Just a thought. I just had to vent that.
Do you feel better now?
I feel better.
Good.
That's what I'm going to.
We have a great guest today.
I
We
know
need to meet right now.
This guy is an entrepreneur.
That's right.
And I love his book. What did I do with his book, honey?
I don't know. You took it over there to the table, I believe.
I thought I kept one. Thank you. The entrepreneur just handed me his book.
Yes, he did.
But Fruit at Work. This book is absolutely, must be, we can walk over there and then we're going to read. Must be part of your book collection. And according to my entrepreneur, there probably are very few like this on the market because it's talking about the workplace. But Sharron's going to talk about who he is to give us a little appetite.
This is quite a bit here, I'll tell you. It's going to take half the program.
I know.
Chris Evans is his name. Successful high-tech entrepreneur and philanthropist, receiving many awards of distinction. Co-founder of Da Vinci Systems. Later founded Hotlinks, a publisher of print and online buyer guides for software professionals.
Wow.
Things that we know all about, honey.
He currently advises entrepreneurs privately. Goodness, great. And we could just go on and on.
Yes.
And what a joy to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Usually wealthy people are very snooty.
I tried, it just never took.
Yeah. Now, did you start out thinking that, because you have to go in, start up companies, do you buy companies that are started?
Oh, no, everything I've done has been started from scratch.
Okay.
And I guess I've heard from somebody, I'm the fifth child in my family, from a family of 6, and somebody told me the fifth child is the entrepreneur, probably because of all the other good stuff that was taken by their older siblings. So you have to come up and make something up of your own. So I had a paper route growing up. I had a mobile disc jockey business in high school. Started a bunch of other things, and so it seemed like natural to go find something, start a business, and keep going with it.
I mean,
now you're high energy too, I can tell.
It's fascinating to me.
Constantly moving.
I can be a little bit that way, yeah. Yeah. And you know,
Type A? You type A?
They tell me I am, yeah.
Okay.
So, but one thing about the entrepreneurial process, though, that's amazing is that it's a very spiritual exercise, because you're making something out of nothing, right? You're taking there's a thing inside your head. Nobody else can see it, can touch it. It's not real in that sense. And through this journey of telling other people about it, getting them to believe in it, having it, as people believe in it, it starts to become products, and it starts to become jobs and everything else. And it's this creative process that there's a joy to it that I think a allows you to understand the joy that God feels in Genesis, in the beginning. As he's speaking things into existence, there's a joy that comes to that coming into existence that I feel like I get to identify with as an entrepreneur, if only in a small way.
It's got to be a hoot to start from scratch and to watch this thing develop.
Yeah.
And then, in some instances, you sell them to other people at tremendous profits, and to think that you started that, and now it's turned into this phenomenal cash flow.
There is. And you know, the money part of it is nice, but there's nothing like taking a great team of people that you love out on a great adventure. You know, and you're going to see if you can do it, and as you do it together, and these people for the rest of their lives in your life, you share something with them, right? You are in the middle of something with them, and whenever you see them, you know that you shared this thing together, and that's also a great treasure.
And you know, the book points it out. I mean, because reading between the lines, when you read the books, you can kind of get to know you, even though a lot of people that read the book, pick it up in a store or whatever, don't really know you like this. But you really want to help the people once that company has sold to pay back to them what they've put into it, which is weird because, you know, many entrepreneurs, it's like, okay, I sold the company for $50 million, and yeah, you got a small pension, but that's it.
Well, I think of the entrepreneurs that I know, I think that that a lot of them do have a love for the people that they're with, and do try to make it work. But it's not easy to figure out, and that's kind of what led me to write the book. Is that, you know, to me, from the time I became a Christian halfway through my first company, so it started out.
How old were you?
Well, I started at 18. I was a freshman in college. We started out of a dorm room, the kind of thing that you read about, and
the kind of Facebook idea.
So in '85, and then in 1990, I got married, and then things got serious because now I was the leader of my family, and how do you lead if you don't know what you believe, right? If, you know, you can't go anywhere. And so I realized that if I was going to be a legitimate leader of my family, I needed to know what I could believe for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that led me to a process of really, you know, making Christ and the gospel the bedrock, the foundation of what I stand on. But when you're doing that, and then you get to work in the morning, and you say, okay, what does that have to do with what I'm doing today? And that's, everyone I talk to in work struggles with that. You know, they're Christian, they know they're Christian inside, but they don't know how to make that difference when they're in the middle of the workplace. How are they different? And a lot of times they may try to be different, but it winds up coming out weird or unproductive.
It does, because I back in my younger days in New York, I was in a company and rose up through the ranks, and I used to, as plant manager, walk out in with lots of guys working, and you could hear them say, "Uh-oh, here comes Herman Bailey, don't tell any dirty jokes." So they already know where you're coming from. And in your book, you talk about how to handle all of that, because being a Christian in the workplace, how does that translate? Because you've got people that are coming from a wildlife, moderate wildlife, or no church at all, no religious affiliation, and basically all they know is, did you know the joy I had last night? We went out with the buddies, and man, we drank until we were just blind. And you know, and you sit there, and so how are you going to respond to that?
And that's not joy. That's happiness. Joy is what you get to keep. Happiness is what you feel that night, and then pay for it in the morning. But what you have is, in terms of business and being a Christian in the workplace, I think there's a lot of people where they wonder whether what you believe is real. And that was where I was when I first considered the gospel. I understood it. I mean, it's fairly, you know, 4 spiritual laws, or however the bridge, or however you want to get there. It's fairly simple to understand the gospel, but believing it, seeing that it actually works, is different. Now, when I first learned it, it was from some of my younger sister's friends in college. And if you're a college student, you can believe anything and get along for a while until you have to have a job and family. You can be an anarchist, you can be a communist, anything. But you know, but then
our president proves that. Just thought I'd throw that in.
I knew it was coming.
Free.
So when but for me, I had to run into people who were business people that I felt like they were really, I could see their Christianity, but I could also see their effectiveness and their competence as a professional. And until I saw that, I wasn't sure that I could actually live that way. So a big part of what I do is I try to be visibly Christian, but in a way that's effective, right? They're not, they may find out I'm Christian after a while of dealing with me. They may learn about it and then come to interact with me. But it has to do with this fruit of the Spirit, right? Am I different because of my love, my joy, my peace, my patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, and self-control? Those are the things that if that's what I'm known by, then I've done my job. And that's, I think, the key is figuring out how to be different in those ways.
Your book says your spiritual development is an important part of your professional development.
I think it can be, and I think that's what's been what confuses a lot of people is that, and what makes it difficult to be a Christian at work, is that you come to work and you think, okay, today's the day I'm going to be a Christian, and then you get about halfway through, and then you realize, but I have to get my job done. I want that promotion. I want to be able to get this good project. I want to, get more esteem from the people around me. And so I go off and I focus on these other things, and I'm kind of torn between trying to be a better Christian and trying to be a better employee. And what I've tried to do in this book is I've tried to align the two. I've tried to say, okay, your game plan for how you're going to be a better Christian or how you're going to be a better employee is by getting better at love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. All those things are things that, if practiced right, really gain favor with the people around you. And so if you make that your professional development, instead of, there's lots of tactics you can do to try to get better. You grew in work. You did some things to stand out among the people around you. I feel like the things you can do to stand out among the people around you is by practicing these things well. And then you've aligned your spiritual development with your professional development.
Not too many companies can get away with sharing Christ, especially the guy at the top like yourself.
Sure.
Okay. Amway has gotten away with it. I mean, they have almost like a revival meeting after after the presenting them.
And there's some terrific models like the Cathy family with Chick-fil-A, the Greens with Hobby Lobby.
Yes.
And they were able to do that. That wasn't, in terms of the culture of my companies, I take money from investors. And those investors, they're venture capitalists. They often have pension funds and other things. And so in that way, at the moment that I'm taking money from pension funds or other organizations that are not, they're investing to make a higher return on investment. I don't feel like I have the freedom that somebody who has a family business where they own the whole thing does. So I don't necessarily build an explicit Christian culture within the company, but I feel like what I'm able to do is to really answer the question, how is a Christian different? And why would I want to be one in the way that I interact?
Good example, you started a company.
Yes.
And you got all of your pieces in place to make this a successful company. Your first large contract, you found out that your software was going to be used in the area of pornography.
Yeah, they wanted to use it to do porn.
And what did you do? Because you had a decision because like you point out in the book, there's all kinds of gray areas, and you say, well, if this comes up, how about this? Is this as bad as what you're doing there? And could this be just as bad as that particular decision? And then you had to make a decision on how you were going to draw that line.
So I felt like all the other people in the company, all these other employees had come along with me. They'd quit their good jobs to come along with me, and this was a decision that was going to affect them as well. If we didn't get another customer, we might run out of money, right? So I wanted them to be in the process. And so I asked, do you want to do this? And nobody really liked the idea of doing it. I said, okay, so what's the rule? What's the policy for who we do business with and who we don't? And when it got to that, nobody could really draw, okay, this is the box around the people that we're okay doing business with. Because what if it's a political group, or what if it's somebody that's for or against something that other people care an awful lot about? Then they get divided among things, and it started to break down as a conversation as they couldn't draw the line. And so within the meeting, they started to come to, well, if we can't come up with a rule, then maybe we can't say no to them. And the thing that I realized and what God showed me is that, as CEO, I was going to be the rule. And it's a little bit scary because it wasn't, it's safer. And I think that's why we like and why as Jesus came along, people really much preferred the Old Testament. Just tell us what the rules are, and I can know what side of the law I'm on. And Jesus is like, no, this is relationship. We're moving. Yes, the morality hasn't changed, but it's in the context of relationship. It's not. There's not going to be 10 laws or anything else that's all you have to do. And in this way, it's also complicated. I don't get to stand back and say, well, it's not me, it's the rule. I have to stand up and say, it's me. If there's not a rule, I'm going to be the rule. And what I'm saying is today we're not doing this business with these people.
So did you have to sleep on that? Did you come back the next day? How did you pull that off?
And it wasn't a hard decision, but what it came down to is when I did the math, the money that they were paying me, in order to pay me that money, they were going to have to show something like 2.5 billion pornographic ads across the internet. To essentially,
Which they could have done that easy.
But that was 2.5 billion more pornographic ads than I wanted on my conscience. And so, in that way it was easy, and everybody came away from that. But I had a conversation, in advance when I met with my investors, before they invested in me. I said, look, there's something important you need to understand. I take my faith very seriously. And if there comes a time in this company where I have to choose between making you more money or following my conscience, you're not going to make that money. And if that's and I understand, and I would totally understand if you said I can't work with you on that basis, but I can't argue with you about it later. You need to understand, and that's part of telling people up front. And their response was, that makes me want to invest in you more. But I had that trust when it came time to make that decision. I didn't have to worry about my investors saying, what are you doing?
Isn't it interesting?
They'd already done that.
How things change, because now the government is telling Hobby Lobby what they must use as health care.
Yes.
And no conviction supersedes the government.
And the Greens are, and at this point, as much as I hate the dilemma that the Greens are in doing this, but I think it's one of these opportunities for them to show how Christians are different. What kind of person would be willing to risk $1 million a day for what they believe in?
Yeah.
The only kind of person that would do that is the kind of person that knew that Hobby Lobby is not their biggest treasure.
That's right.
Or a guy that closes all of his eating establishments on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which you can see there would be lines out the door.
Yeah. That there's a lot of revenue that they pass on doing that, but there's they're following their conscience, and in that way they're showing that difference that they believe in it. Yeah. That this is something that they're not playing around with, but it's more important than this business.
Your book says, what do you think is the most important skill an entrepreneur needs to be successful? The most important skill, according to your book, it's so simple, is
trust. It's the first resource that an entrepreneur has. When I'm starting a company and it's just inside my head, the first thing I have access to before I have the first real thing, or the thing that we talked about, sort of making something real from nothing, the first step to making it real is gaining trust, getting other people to believe in what it is that you're in the vision that you have, and to trust your ability to get it done. And if you gain enough of that trust with people, you can, it's like it's its own economy. You can trade it for employees, for customers, for press exposure, for strategic relationships, for office space. All of these things come from being able to get people there. And I think you were in sales for some time, so you know this. Yeah. There's no sale takes place until you've gotten somebody above a threshold of trust in the product or in you or some combination. And the thing that I realized is if I was going to be a Christian and really try to get better at it throughout my life, one of the ways that could be to my advantage is that I could grow trust better and more efficiently than people around me. And I do that because I have a consistency. Every day in my prayer time, I think about and reflect on, what did I do wrong yesterday? How could I have done it better? Because that's, as a disciple of Christ, what we're called to do. And I'm doing that, and my competitors and the people, my rivals, are not. And because of that, the people that I work with know that there's a consistency. They know what they can expect from me, and it's easier to trust me.
How many companies do you have now?
How many do I? Well, there's a company that I'm in the process of getting started, and it's a new thing for me. There's a young entrepreneur that I was mentoring, and that I've come in as chairman, but he's CEO, and my goal is really to provide him with the environment to get him up to the point where he can continue to do this as well.
Is he a believer?
He is. He is, and we have great conversations about business, and we have great conversations about the spiritual dimensions behind what we're doing.
Speaking of trust,
Yes.
on page 34, just some of the trust issues.
Yes. So you can talk about trust generally.
We got about 6 minutes, so just so you know this.
Oh, okay. So
even though it seems like we got plenty of time, we're running out of time.
It's gone fast. So there's character, there's competence, there's vision, motivation, and appreciation. All these things are things that, I may trust. For example, I may trust that my son is honest, but if he was 10, I wasn't going to give him the keys to my car because he would honestly run into something, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have the competence to drive the car. So you not only have to be trustworthy in a character sense, but you need to be excellent at what you're doing. And I think all those things as a believer are ways to make a difference.
I mean, he goes through each one of these as chapter headings. And like joy, for example, a powerful asset in tough times. Now, you talk about doing an unexpected thing for your friend Charles. Do you remember that in the book?
You're going to have to give me a little more than that.
Okay.
I thought I was...
All right. Okay. Let me go. That's a good thing I marked. Good thing I read the book. And okay. Helping others find their joy. Charles is one of the best businessmen I know, and he had worked hard at his job.
Oh, yes.
I knew this news would be a major blow to him.
Yeah, he was a CEO of a major company, and it was after an internet crash, and there were a lot of people a lot of companies where they changed management after that crash, and he was one of them. He was caught up in it. But it tears at your identity. One day, who are you? I'm the CEO of whatever, and chest out, and then who are you? I'm a guy without a job, and now now you feel small. And so I booked a flight, went down to where he lived, and we went out. We rode roller coasters for the day out at Six Flags.
Because the guy loved roller coasters.
And there was a joy to that, and really I needed to help him recover that joy. And here's the thing about the fruit of the Spirit is that they all fit together, but they all give you different pieces to try and solve what you're in the middle of work right now.
Yeah.
So joy is a way to, if there's been a big setback, to recover that, to be able to move forward, to be able to shake it off, if you will.
Yeah.
Peace is tremendous, especially in these times. That we a lot of business can be bad. We feel like the stuff that comes on the news, we think things are bad and they can only get worse. And the way that we're different from the people around us, though, is that we have a piece to it.
Yeah.
There was a time where I got a phone call that I learned the first floor of my house had been flooded out entirely. A hose had broken in the washroom, and it was going to have to be gutted, everything thrown out, everything taken away. And I went home that night and I slept like a baby because that was my second house, right? And it was going to be a hassle to get it fixed, but it didn't ruin my life. This is our second house.
Wow.
Right? We're in the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so we can take things differently. Russell Wilson did this wonderfully, and I had the blessing to be in Atlanta to watch the football game where the Seattle Seahawks played the Atlanta Falcons. Russell is a major believer. His career, his rookie season ended at the end of the game in a heartbreaking way. A field goal at the last second stole what was the best comeback that had ever happened in the playoffs. By the time he got to the tunnel, he said, I was already thinking about next year and how wonderful an experience next year is going to be. And that's what a believer can do.
Yeah.
Teammates may be crying on the field about what might have happened. He can shake it off because he has that God's peace.
Well, you talk from experience because you sold a company and you kept some of the paper, and then all of a sudden that big boom crashed. So, and then in the book, a friend of yours said, I don't get you. You lost millions of dollars, and you act like you did yesterday. So you can't let that impact you.
It's, And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of wealth that evaporated shortly after the internet bubble burst, and I got caught up in some of that. But the thing is that my real treasure is in the kingdom. And there was no bubble that burst in the kingdom.
I wish we
it's
had
fine.
time to go into patience, kindness, goodness,
Faithfulness, gentleness,
yeah,
self-control.
all of the, and he covers them with example stories, and after every chapter, you have kind of a thought process that you can go into and ask yourself, just like you said, you have to ask yourself many times, did I mess up today, and what can I do better tomorrow?
How do you apply it to yourself? And I want to tell you, there's I've actually added a study group leader's guide, if you can hold that up. If you wanted to, and I would suggest,
looks like the book,
I would
but
suggest
it's
studying
actually-
this as a group.
Yeah.
It has group study questions, and the wonderful thing about this is that once you understand what kindness looks like in your workplace, or what faithfulness looks like in your workplace, and then you learn about somebody else's job and what it was like for them to experience this, it totally opens your mind to what all these fruit mean and how rich they are.
Yeah.
So I really would encourage people, you can download the Study Group Leaders Guide for free off of my website.
It's on your screen right there. So enjoy that. Chris, that's your camera. Share Christ with somebody and tell them how you got saved.
Listen, there is the most important decision that you can make, the bedrock of everything else you can make, is what you're going to believe for the rest of your life. And there's no better thing to believe in for the rest of your life than the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Everything else can be built upon it. And when you have that, you have an eternal possession that nothing in this world can take from you. It gives you the flexibility to move loosely within this world. And it gives you the promise to be able to overcome any setback that you have in your life. No matter where you are today, no matter what's going on in your life, we have a good God who knew it all. It's no worse than it had to be in order for him to have the outcome that he wanted for you. And if it surprises you how bad it is, it only means that you'll be that much more surprised at how good what he has in mind for you.
Amen.
You need Jesus. Please pray for him.
And right now, when you're watching, it's so simple, just like we did.
Yes.
We had to have that time in our life when we said, forgive me of all of my sin.
Yes.
I'm asking you right now to be my personal Lord and Savior. That's pretty simple. I receive you today. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for saving me and giving me eternal life. Now, you don't have to say exactly that. You may forget some of the words, but just call out. One in the Bible say, "Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner." That's what he cried out. "Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner." And his life was changed for eternity. Yours can be changed for eternity. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Bill Malone of Christian Television Network's Plan Giving Department. Did you know that a will is one of the most important documents that you will ever sign? Yet a majority of Americans die each year with no will, and so the government receives a large percentage of their estate in taxes and fees. We can help you eliminate this loss with our free Guide to Wills and Trusts booklet. Call the number on your screen or go to our website for further information. Your long-range plans deserve special attention.
Watch Life Today, weekdays as James and Betty Robison provide real answers to real problems through compelling guests and miraculous testimonies. Witness God's love through inspiration, hope, and life. Join us in making a real difference in our world by changing countless lives and building stronger families. Don't miss Life Today with James and Betty Robison, weekdays on this station.
30 years ago, I was sitting in front of the television set in my home, and a word was spoken that forever altered my life. And that's exactly what happens every day whenever CTN programming is going into people's homes. And that's why it's so important that as believers and as people who really want to change lives, we gather together and give of our resources so that CTN can remain on the air.
Welcome to Know the Cause, a TV show dedicated to changing